all around the world. UK is way back up, which is super exciting to see that the UK is going strong. Australia is on fire, as we all know. Just congratulations again to Linda for going 200 Club. So exciting. And we've got a lot of great, I've ordered your bracelet, as I promised that I would get it for you. So your bracelet's been ordered. Our team is about 325 right now with regards to qualifiers. So very exciting, just worldwide numbers for all. So we're trying to fly under the radar a little bit so that we can show up.
You can't do that. Are you kidding? Fly under the radar? Are you kidding? Who just said that?
But it's all going so great, and just super proud of everybody. I'm super excited about this call. We're waiting for people are just jumping on the line. We got lots of people joining us right now, so gonna wait a couple minutes more. As you guys know, Australia conference is coming around the corner in June. You want to share a little bit about the Australia conference on the line, and for anybody who's got people in Australia?
Yeah, we're so excited because each year we're sort of doubling in numbers, but this year lineup. But this year we have Jay Martin is making the trip. Bill, who's hosting? Can we mute everyone yet?
Yeah. Can you mute everybody, please, Olivia? Okay. You want to share a little bit more about conference?
So Jay Martin is coming, which is incredible, our CEO and founder. We also are hosting Katie Rady, which is huge, and Luke Wren is going to be coming as well. Possibly Dave Sanderson. We've got a lot of homegrown talent that will be speaking as well. It's in Melbourne, which is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. We love Melbourne. We're going to do some exciting before and after events as well, because we have Lauren, and we're definitely not flying under the radar. There'll be none of the radar underflying when you're in town. I'm super excited because everyone is creating these magical goals and they're smashing them. They're not only like achieving them, they're like smashing past them, and they're doing it with a lot of heart and vision. They're like blowing themselves away, which was definitely an intention that we set out to do, and everyone is buzzing. The energy, when momentum is here and when people are in gratitude and when people are on purpose, is just amazing, and I really know that this team feels that. It's worldwide, Lauren, what you've created, and the vision that you continue to hold and set the bar high, and it's definitely the opposite to flying under the radar. I think that we show what's possible every single day to everyone, without ego and without flash. I get what you mean by let's stay humble, let's stay centered and grounded, and I'm a huge believer in that too. And this team does that. Each one of these heart-driven leaders has got their head down, their heart forward, and is inspiring. So Melbourne is just a culmination, and it's such a celebration of what we've got ahead. So that's it.
Yay, I'm so excited about Melbourne. We also have some other great things that we've got planned. As you guys know, there's the Most Powerful Women of Network Marketing event that's happening next year, March 2nd through the 4th. And I bought 100 tickets. And I know we've already got people that are committed. I just want to, even though we don't have our UK team that's on the line because it's early in the morning there, I want to acknowledge two people from that team. We did a little challenge with them, and that was to do at least 200 names. And there were two people that did over 400 names, and that is Sally Wallace as well as Tasha Minter as well as Carolina. So they won themselves they each won tickets to the Most Powerful Women of Network Marketing event, because from those 400, they got lots of new distributors and lots of new customers. I also want to acknowledge Nancy Ross. Is Nancy on the phone? Nancy just had a great event in Orange County. We had a great regional that was just in LA that Andre was at and Jen Creed was at, and they had over 260 people. It was really fun. It was at a gym, like a CrossFit gym, It's really the wave right now, especially there's a lot of like young vibe happening in New York, LA, San Diego. Lots of buzzing happening, especially for all of our team in San Diego, which I'm super excited about. So I'll be going there June 5th, right before coming over to Melbourne, but making sure we're going to be doing about 6 or 7 events in San Diego. So those of you that know people. We also have a ladies' lunch that's going to be taking place here in Las Vegas on May the 25th. We're bringing in an awesome woman. Her name is Angie Covington, and she does brain balancing. So that's up already on the Eventbrite page. Conference in St. Louis. We're going to be hosting, you guys, a Gen Y. Well, it's not even going to be a Gen Y event. We're going to be hosting, we're bringing in a DJ, a very famous DJ, and it's going to be a fun event on Thursday night. We're also going to be capturing testimonials of people's stories. And then we're going to do our own great kick-ass recap video along with some other sidelines on how to really promote events, because it's really about promotion and promoting, the big events that we have going on. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. As if you're new to the call, welcome to this call. We do this call every Monday night. And as you know, Cheryl Cortese does her call every Monday night. She's been doing it for the past 26 years. We've been doing this for the past 8 years, so we're catching up. And we have everybody from around the world, and we welcome you. I'm Lauren Slocum Lahav, and along with all the other national marketer, Linda and Christine and Adam and Kira and Kate and Luke and everyone else, I welcome you on behalf of this amazing team that spreads across. We're in about 22 different countries right now. So if you know anybody, that's just with this team. Everywhere from Poland to France to Israel, to Australia, to New Zealand, to Fiji, to the US of A. Know that you've got the support around the world. And that's what's exciting, is that you can grow your business anywhere in the world and support friends that you have around the world. And tonight we have an amazing person joining us. Chris Crawford is the founder of Kick-Ass Media, a print marketing company that regularly works with international brands such as Disney, 20th Century Fox, Olympus, and Feed the Children, just to name a few. He's bootstrapped Kick-Ass Media with nothing but an idea, literally. And after failing for his first year, created a sign business. He was broke and sleeping in his car. Instead of giving up, he completely reinvented the company and focused on learning online marketing and social media. Now the same company has a team of people that produces product across North America. Sharing his experience, passion, and experience with entrepreneurs and business owners, he loves to help others create successful marketing strategies, because what you're marketing is you. People buy you. They don't just buy Juice Plus, if you would, they buy you. He says online success is just learning the recipe and creating a plan. So I'd love to, he's going to talk with us about that. They have, it's unbelievable the business they have coming in just from their online leads. And I know he'll share about that. He's also part of our team. He's a sales coordinator. So he went sales coordinator in about, pretty much, I think Chris, you went sales coordinator in about 3 weeks. So he knows what to do. He's excited, looking forward to having him grow his business as well as teaching us some things about what to do to really maximize our resources with regards to online. So here we go. Chris.
Thanks so much, Lauren. Everybody's super excited to be here. Can you guys hear me all right first off? Can I get some thumbs up that everybody can hear me good? Okay, great. The other part I'm excited about is I've literally just set up this little webcast studio in our office here. And this past week, and this all came up, so it was perfect time for me to test this out. So what I'm going to share with you is something that I call purpose-driven marketing. And it literally is a step-by-step recipe of exactly how to engage with people and how to move them through just this sequence. Because I was reading this article on Forbes online, and they were saying that 84% of businesses fail in digital marketing. And I think it's because they fail to learn how to have a social conversation and actually how to communicate. And instead, I think approach it from just trying to sell online. And as I'm sure all of you know, when you just try to sell to people, they feel it. And that's where the purpose side of it comes in. And, you know, it was so great listening to, I think it was Linda talk about, you know, just the gratitude that's in it and the delivering a gift and actually helping people. And that, to me, that's the core of what has to come through, especially in social media. So what I'm going to give you tonight is 5 steps. And I've tried to narrow this down.
Chris, can you turn your volume up? There's a lot of people that are saying that your volume's really low. So
okay,
let's see if we can.
How's that?
Still a little low, so.
Okay, how's that? That should be better there. Can you hear me all right now?
You guys want to give me feedback? It's okay.
Okay, I'll be sure.
I can hear him. It's still pretty low.
Yeah, so if you can turn the volume up or get closer to the mic, everybody's
very low.
Okay, I'll be sure to speak up. So what I'm going to give you though is 5 steps, and it's literally a 5-step sequence. Meaning that, in my opinion, you have to go through this sequence exactly the way that it's designed to get the maximum results. And also in this 5-step sequence, I'm going to give you 3 little golden tickets. And I'm going to cover quite a bit, and I'm going to try to cruise through it slow enough that you can get it. But I really recommend to get a pen and a notepad and jot notes, because there's probably going to be a few things that you may want to review back to after, as you start to go through those first couple steps. So the first thing that that I want to share is actually what I think is the #1 barrier online, and that's FOMO. So if you don't know what FOMO is the fear of missing out, right? That feeling that people get when they feel like they're missing something. They're at home and they think people are out doing something and they're missing it. And what I'm going to ask you tonight is to watch for, if you're following these steps and you're trying to put this in place, watch for the moments that you could feel that little bit of a FOMO angst come up and go, and so I'm going to say #NoMo FOMO, and let's roll with it. So can you guys see me as well? You can, right? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to share with you the 5 steps. We're going to go into each step a little bit deeper, but I'm going to give them to you first if you want to jot them down, and then we'll go through deep. So #1 is defining your ideal audience. And this step right here is the most crucial step of the entire thing, and the one step that really sparks FOMO, and I'm going to get into that soon. And I just love that idea of FOMO. It's super fun. Step #2, so step #1, define your ideal audience. Step #2 is figuring out where exactly they are. Step #3 is planning the customer journey, which is to say the actual steps that a customer is going to take. Step #4 is where you craft your marketing message. And then the last step, the most obvious one, is where you plan it and where you do it. And what I think is that most people actually, and most businesses that don't succeed in social, is they skip right to step 4 or 5. And I'm going to hold this up here. I'm not sure if you guys can read that very well. Maybe it's kind of small on there, but that's the actual 5 steps if anybody didn't catch it. So what I think oftentimes happens is that people feel that sense of, okay, I need to get on social. I've got to get on a platform, and I'm going to just start sharing content. And the plan and the steps and the journey that hasn't really been mapped, and the ideal customer and the whole thing wasn't designed out. And so we feel that, and I'm guilty of that myself. I mean, I've done the same thing where it was, you know, now there's so many social platforms, and it oftentimes can feel like, oh my God, I need to be on every single one. But what it comes down to is really only needing to be on 1 or 2 key ones that are going to really identify. So, so let's jump in. So step #1, defining your ideal audience. Now with a product like Juice Plus, sure, the product is for pretty well everybody. And I think that we can agree that across the board, right? The challenge is that your social marketing is not for everyone. Your social marketing needs to be designed around having a conversation with a specific audience. And I'm going to really ask you to play along with me tonight, even if you're unsure. For tonight, let's just kind of pretend like you're going to follow these steps and create a strategy. And at the end of the call, you can make a decision if you want to continue with this or if it doesn't suit with what you think. So for me, I'll give you an example of how this went for me, this step of defining the customer. So as Lauren said, I started the business from my apartment, was struggling. I was going door to door, handing out flyers to businesses, trying to attract customers. And it wasn't happening quick enough. And I started to move online, and we were selling a bunch of different products to a bunch of different customers. And I stepped back and said, okay, I want to perfect one thing of everything. And I picked one product, which ended up being, if you're familiar, a step and repeat, which is basically, if you've ever seen those red carpet backdrops with all the logos on them, oftentimes it's for movie premieres or charity events and things like that. So we were selling a few of those. I decided to focus on that one product of everything, and our results improved and we grew really quickly. But then what happened was I found that we were selling that product to a bunch of different customers. So we had those movie premieres coming in, we had the charity galas coming in, but we also had trade shows and we had weddings. I mean, I'm talking weird, big pink backdrops with purple lettering on it because people wanted some sort of message at their wedding, and birthdays and all these different ones. And I stepped back and said, okay, of all these different customers that we're selling this to, who is the one customer that I would prefer to focus on and it would be easiest to sell to and identifies most with who I am and who I'd like to, or where I'd like to take the business. And so we decided it was marketing firms. And my point here is really just about making that decision of who is the one person that we're going to focus on online. Once we did that, we decided, okay, it was a marketing firm. We nailed down exactly who the person was. We did some interviews with that person. We said, okay, she's 30 years old and she works in this career and she's got this client and she's single and all this information, which sounds ridiculous, but once I plugged it into marketing and I gave it to my sales team, our growth was crazy. It literally went from just me by myself to the following year, we did over 100,000 in sales. And then in only a few years later, we were doing 100,000 a month in sales, all from online. Everything from online leads, everything from online, no cold calling, no anything like that. Last month, we had more leads than my salespeople could deal with. And it came from making the decision to nail down to one specific little ideal customer. So here's the best way that I can frame this for you to really get it, because I really want to hit this home. Imagine how different a conversation would be, say about Juice Plus, if you were talking to a mom versus talking to a dad versus talking to a teenager versus talking to somebody in their 20s or entrepreneurs or retired people or athletes. And the list, I'm sure, goes on, and every one of you can probably come up with many different types of people, obviously. But you can imagine that if you had that lineup of people standing there and you were going to talk to each one of them about Juice Plus, you're going to have a very different conversation with each one. And this is a key thing that we need to nail down in social media and online, because what you're essentially doing is you're starting a conversation. You're starting a conversation that people want to continue all the way to the end. But if one day we're trying to have a conversation with maybe it's the mom about trying to get more veggies to her kids, and the next day we're having a conversation to the person that's into fitness and working out, the athlete, and the next day we're trying to have a conversation with the person in their 20s about maybe focus and whatever, and the next day it's the entrepreneurs about how to show up in their business, the message is really diluted and mixed. And again, just to reiterate, that idea of FOMO comes in because consistently when I talk to business owners about this idea, the number one thing that comes up for people is they get afraid of not focusing on all those different customers. And I'm not saying we're not going to sell or provide products to all those people. I'm just saying for a social conversation, we really need to design a brand identity. And what that brand identity is about is an ideal customer. So I got this fun little idea, which is, if you can see that, it's kind of like a megaphone. So imagine your social media is the way that you're going to talk. And if you can't quite read that, basically everything out there is saying moms, teens, 20s, athletes, retired, entrepreneurs, just a goofy little thing, using a megaphone through your social media to go and yell super loud about how awesome Juice Plus is. So when you do that, people will become more engaged and more inspired by your message. You'll be able to speak their language. Now we're going to get to the step coming up that's going to help you really craft that in. But first, here's a little exercise that you can do to kind of get your brain thinking about how to really identify this. The best question I think that I can ask is, who are you most passionate to talk to? You know, who is that audience that you feel you would choose above all to stand and talk to, or they would resonate with you, or when you talk to those people, you get vibing and you get the juice going and you get in the zone. For me, it's entrepreneurs. Like when I get in a conversation with entrepreneurs anywhere, I get excited about their ideas. I want to talk marketing. I want to hear what they got going on, and I get going on it. And that's my specific audience. So I want to ask you, and I'd say jot this down. Who are you most passionate to talk to, or who's it easiest for you to talk to? Or maybe if you look at past experiences or the things that define who you are as a person or your interests, you can kind of peg that out. Now, I'd encourage you to brainstorm this, ask some friends, do some interviews. And what I mean by interviews is you could find people that could be in your potential audience, and you could go have a conversation with them. We did this. Like we interviewed probably about 8 to 10 people that were what we thought was our ideal customer. And we went step by step and said, okay, what are you dealing with? What is your day like? What is your pain? You know, what do you feel is your struggles? What is great in your life? What do you want? And then we were able to craft all this out and get super clear on it. Get clear, because clarity is power. So that's the first step. Just defining that customer, getting as hyper focused and as clear as you can, not letting the fear of saying that you're not focusing on other audiences get in your way or anything like that. Okay, so I hope that really makes sense.
Can I ask a question? How do you help identify them? I get that the one that they're most passionate about, but are there a list of questions you would have for them about to define that audience for them as well?
Say again. So how the questions to define it, you mean?
Well, define the audience that you really want to go, that you're most passionate about.
Yeah, so I think it really has to, in my opinion, I think it really has to come from your passion. It should really come from what in your heart, or the people in your heart that you feel. The easiest way I can say it is the people that you feel like you really connect with when you get on a wavelength. And that's not to say that we don't connect with everybody, because I know that we do. And especially talking about products like Juice Plus, whatever, I know that it's super easy, but it's really about when there's an audience that we can really connect with, I feel we're more motivated to stay consistent creating long-term content towar's that audience.
Right. So maybe we can grab somebody, if you don't mind. I'd like to make this a little interactive just so everybody learns a little bit from this. Who's having a hard time identifying their market? They would like to kind of, so that Chris can ask you some questions. Does that work for you guys? So we can do a little demo right here. Anybody who's having a hard time? Yes, you? Yes, Linda. You're muted.
I'm muted.
Okay.
So I just want it's not that I have a hard time. We represent a lot. I know what's most profitable in my business right now is personal trainers. It's just tried and proven. Who I personally love to connect with in a customer. Our customers are really franchisees as well, is mums. Stay-at-home mums that are kind of stuck. They still are driven and want more. They have that, I light up talking to them.
Yeah.
When you say the one thing, I'm really into this focus on one thing, because I'm always all over the place.
Yeah.
And I'm about to go into a new market. So I'm writing, furiously going, to do a shout out to kind of the PTs
So
Is there room to do both, or should you really not perfect? Should you really juice up this craft? I really resonate with what you're saying. Should I just focus on that one thing?
well, in my opinion, I really think so. I know how hard it is. It's not to say that you're not going to serve that audience or provide them products or meet with them or that they're going to connect with your social or your online. It's more just that, like, we've only got so much time in the day. We've only got so much focus, so much energy to be able to put into creating what we're creating. And so we have to find the avenue that we can build the fastest and connect with the most people. That's how my thinking is.
Right.
I'm always going, how do I connect with more people faster? And it's going to be much easier if you focus on one stream. And if you're passionate, like, so the fact that you're comparing, it's a really great example actually, that one that's really profitable versus the one that you love to serve.
Right.
I can totally relate to that debate. And only you can make that decision. And it's not to say that you can't go one way or the other, or you can't try and do both. What I found, what I've seen is that when it's one that we're more passionate about, it's easier to create content that they resonate with.
Right.
It's easier to be writing that message because you're writing it, and you ever get where you're creating something and you get in the zone and you're like, and you feel ferocious about what you're creating because
Right.
that's when it really sparks that. But then when we focus on the side where it's more about the profit, sure, maybe you can tap into that as well there. But oftentimes it's a little more, you're having to dig it out and it's not as flowing out. And that, I can't tell you, definitely go one way or the other, of course. I would encourage you to consider trying to narrow down to one or the other. And I think focusing on the moms, because here's the thing. When you're focusing online, I mean, how many people are online?
A lot.
A lot. More than you could ever serve. And so the more dialed in your marketing message becomes, the easier it will be to grow that audience really big, really, really big. And right now you probably feel like you need to focus on the ones that are profitable because, well, for whatever reason. And, you know, whatever level your business is at, you're in that, okay, this is where the money is. But I can assure you, when you're tapping into an audience big enough, it doesn't matter. Like for us, the products that we sell, the area that I live in, I don't even market locally because my customer is not local. And, you know, we narrowed down and it was hard. Like I remember people coming in the door saying, hey, can you do this graphic for my car? You know, can you do this thing for my boat? Because I was doing signs and printing and I had to say no. And it was to say no was like, it was like, what am I thinking? I had just come out of struggling super hard and now I'm telling people, no, I'm not gonna do this stuff for you. But I knew that I only have so much bandwidth in a day. And I want to focus that on what's growing. And so by saying no, I was able to gain time to focus it where I wanted. And then in the long term, I mean, you know, we're already 10 times bigger than I could have ever been if I stayed focusing in that small zone. And
right.
So I hope
that's great. That's like you've really, it's the heart answer, right? Because it's easy.
Well,
thank you.
So can I add to that? This is what you're talking about, FOMO, fear of missing out. That when we are actually, the fear that actually is coming up, and I'm here with a friend, the fear that's coming up is like, well, if we focus on this, then we're missing out on the other ones. But really what you're saying is that it's almost like you create a focus, and this is actually duplicatable to you throughout your team, because everyone will eventually gravitate to one focus. But if you focus on one thing, that mastery will spill over to some other fields.
Definitely.
Correct?
Definitely will. Definitely. And I think you got it right on. And that's where it's counterintuitive. your brain wants to go, no, I can't say no to this bigger audience and narrow it down small. And in the short term, it is going to take a little bit to get that results. But you know, if Tony Robbins fan, he talks about the lag time, and it takes that little bit of time before you start to build that momentum. But when you get consistent and you get working this, you'll grow it. Like, I just got into Twitter. Funny enough, I wasn't really into Twitter for the longest time. And when I started into it, all I started posting about was content for entrepreneurs. And I was able to gain almost a couple thousand followers in about less than 3 months, 2,000 followers. And then next we're going to get into where to go with that. But it's all about building a bigger audience, and who cares geographically where they are. You've got access to more of every single type of customer than you could ever serve available online.
So here's what I'd ask. I'd ask everybody just to type in a chat and to all, what do you feel is your target market? Let's see what we've got. Let's see what we've got of those of you, and let's just do that as he's going on. And Chris, I don't know if you can get closer to the mic, but if possible, that would be awesome. And I'm gonna let you go on to the next one. But why doesn't everybody feel, type in just in a chat so we can see what we've got here, and then we can come back to him. And just share with him what we've got, and maybe he can give us some ideas from there. But basically, you're talking about building an identity for yourself, right? As the boss babes, as the boss moms, as the whatever. So you're starting to develop an identity for yourself where everybody comes and goes, that the working poor, women over 40. So we're getting some ideas, stay-at-home moms, Gen X, Gen Y boss babes. So we're getting some ideas here of what everybody is. So they're getting clear of where they want to put their focus.
Okay, you're going to love this.
Menopausal ones. Teacher, professional women 30 and up. This is great, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Pediatric cancer patients. Let's see what else we've got. So we've got a whole group coming in so that you guys can see. Can you imagine? We will touch everybody, right? In this way, if we stay focused on that one thing. Okay, great. I'm going to pass it back over to you.
This is amazing. This is dynamite. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Every one of those segments on there, because that's what it's called in marketing lingo, they call it a customer segment. And that's what you're pegging down as a customer segment. Because step number 2 is, where are they? So once you know who your ideal customer is, you can now go, where are they? And so what I mean by that is, what social platform is your audience using? Maybe you know the list, right? Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, Periscope, Blab, on and on and on. So if you think about your audience, you know where they are. For me, my audience, entrepreneurs, it turns out, I didn't realize this for a while, admittedly, but it turns out that Twitter is the jam when I want to connect with entrepreneurs. Facebook, it didn't do much for me. But if you're dealing with, maybe it's moms or retired people, maybe Facebook is their thing. Or the moms, maybe it's Pinterest. Maybe it's not even online. Maybe it's outside of that. Maybe it's other events, whatever. I mean, obviously for this, we're trying to focus online, and I do think you can find it. But this is a step that takes a little bit of looking around. Oftentimes, it's getting out of your comfort zone and not being afraid to go onto a social platform that you're not super comfortable with, just to feel it out and see who's out there. And one of the best ways that you can really do this is by looking at other people that would be speaking to your specific customer. So for example, for me, entrepreneurs, Tony Robbins, obviously, Lewis Howes is a great example, Richard Branson. There's all these people that I can look at and see, where do they have their biggest audiences, and follow what they're doing. It's a no-brainer. It's a super easy step. And so, because the idea here is that you're then going to go to the place that they are and speak to them there. Instead of trying to attract, it's kind of like go fishing where the fish are. Instead of trying to attract the audience in the wrong spot, you're going to go to the platform that they're on. So what you really want to do is you want to brainstorm out possible locations, or you want to interview your audience and then ask them, what social platforms do you use? If you're on Facebook, are you likely to like pages and follow content? Are you where are you? And in, so my personal, like I said, entrepreneurs is Twitter, but for Kick-Ass Media, it turns out that actually none of the social platforms really generate a lot of leads for us in that way. Ours all come from Google. And it's the nature of the beast, but it took getting clear on exactly who the customer is and where they are. And so I'd really recommend brainstorm it out. Don't assume anything. Try to talk to anybody that you can, or do some tests. Get out there and start posting. Maybe we'll get to this later, a couple steps down the road here, about how to create content. But when you create little bits of it, post it on all the different channels and see which ones get you more interactions, get you more likes. My girlfriend, her jam is Instagram. And I don't even use Instagram personally, but through Instagram, she's grown a huge following and then hosted an event here not long ago and had a bunch of people come out to the event, all connected to her through Instagram. But that's her specific audience. They're women in their, young women in their 20s. So that's the second exercise, is to brainstorm out possible locations. It may be, this is the nice part about when you try to serve an audience that is a lot like you, or that has common interests that you do, because chances are they're going to be on the same platform that you're on. And once you have that pegged, here's what happens. All right, so remember this crafty little megaphone that I've got drawn out? This is what happens. You turn it into a funnel. And so all that audience is actually going to come down, and they're going to start going through. Each one of these is a step that they're going to take in your series, getting them closer to being a customer or a distributor or whatever it may be. Okay, so we're gonna move into, so that was step number 2, which was knowing exactly where they are. It doesn't need to be a really difficult one. It can actually be a fairly easy step to complete. And then step 3, once you know that, you can start thinking about mapping the customer journey. So this is the money shot right here. This is a big deal, mapping that customer journey to a T, because a bunch of different things come into play here. So when I say mapping the customer journey, it's like if they're starting out on Facebook, ideally you want to be thinking about the next goal from Facebook. And where people fall short and where people have a hard time is they try to get people to take too big of a step without enough of a relationship. So what I mean by that is people will be posting on Facebook and growing a great following, but then trying to sell to people on Facebook, and you haven't built enough of a relationship of trust for those people to want to buy from you. And I think it takes 2, 3, 4 steps before people are ready to buy. And so what I mean by steps are, the first step is likely following you on a social platform. And then your second step, most commonly, would be to get them to go from your social to your website. And then once they're on your website, probably something like opting into maybe a newsletter, or signing up for maybe a Zoom call, or signing up for a webinar or a download or some other step. And then once you're communicating in that way, you're now building trust, and letting them understand that you know what you're talking about, and they just get to know you. At that point, you can start to have a call to action where you're contact me, or let's have a conversation, or come to this meeting, or whatever. So now when I started my business, I didn't have any online experience at all. I didn't have any website design. I didn't know anything about any of that. Social media, none of it. And I just had that feeling in my gut like I needed to learn it. So I took it upon myself to just start Googling and start reading, like, how do you create a website online? Now that was 8 years ago, and there was a lot less available than there is now. WordPress didn't exist. And I was able to build this out and start generating leads online back then. Now it is so much easier. And if you don't have a website, you're really gonna struggle to create the audience that you could create and attract the following that you could. In my opinion, you've really got to get a website built. Now, whether you go and learn it or you hire somebody, or I can give you a couple examples you can jot down. There's 99 Designs that is for, I don't know, a few $100s. You can have somebody build you out a great website. You can use like Elance, Fiverr. You can use all these different ones. You can, what else is there? Elance, Fiverr, 99 Designs. I don't know. The list goes on and on. You could use a service like that. You could Weebly. You could find somebody, or you can learn it yourself. Now, I really recommend trying to learn it because the stuff now is actually quite easy. And once you know how to do it, you kind of have the power in your hands to be able to create the content, add the content whenever you want. And if you have somebody else building it, you're always at the default of having to get somebody else. Now, again, I'm not going to tell you which way to go on that. What I will say is you need a website, because a website has to be a step in your customer journey. And so here, I'm going to hold this up. This is just an example funnel, if you can see that. So it's basically following you on social, move to your website, opt into a newsletter, having a conversation with a call to action in your newsletter, and buying your products. I mean, that's a super effective funnel. And once you start mastering this, you're going to have tons of customers in every stage of that journey, and you'll just get more and more and more. And God, it'll get to the point you got to hire somebody to answer your phone. You'd be too busy. You know, your business will go off the hook, no question. So I did a couple goofy little fun drawings. So this is an example here of if your audience is moms and you're on Facebook. I mean, you can look at the little funnel. Give me a couple thumbs up if you can see that. All right. Can you see that? Is it kind of small? All right. Anyway, so imagine this is without a website. You could get them to follow you.
Bring it closer, Chris. Can you bring it closer so everybody can see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So.
And when we talk about the website, can we go through this? It's really about creating that identity. If you look at what everybody's done, because we want to make sure everybody stays focused on, you know, what the mission is. You're not trying to be an expert, because the biggest mistake like that I made when I got started, and I would be very careful of for everybody that's on the line, is when I lost a lot of people, just so you know, with regards to my business, because everybody was trying to be the expert in something. All you're really doing, what he's trying to say, is add value. So you might want to put like just that you're talking about your life, like to create, you know, like a great juice plus, you know, like a recipe of a smoothie. But the minute you try to be an expert, we have to be careful about that. You know what I'm saying? Linda, do you want to share about this too? Because I've lost a lot of people this way, a lot. So you want to share a little bit, just kind of jumping in about this?
Yeah, we can waste years being special, and we're not in the business of special. We're in the business of everyone that we are connecting with, that my outcome is that they believe that if this is a fit, a heart decision, that they too can do what we're doing. So they absolutely believe that it's simple, that it's easy, that we have found a fun way to do it, and that we're in the business of simple duplication. Mm-hmm. So duplication, the nature of it means no training, no education. It needs to be really simple. It's fruits and veggies and berries that make you look good and feel good, and we get paid to share and promote and connect, and we get paid to find other people who want more so they can get paid to connect and share. And that hit me like a ton of bricks when I finally got out of being the expert and the science guru and the ingredient lady. Oh my God, everything changed. It was such a relief to not be the expert. I was great at being the expert, but I did not build a business. And this is a business of simplicity. It's the opposite to expert.
Yeah.
So if you can talk about, maybe it's capturing people to get interested in you, you know what I mean? And, you know, you as a mom, and then obviously it's going to lead into everything else.
It's a great point, Lauren. It's always stories. We're storytellers. Yeah. So it is all about us, and it's kind of like the three things that Gordon talks about. Do I like this person? Do I trust them? Can they help me? If I'm looking for this, do I like them? Do I trust them? Can they help me? So every interaction that I consciously think about having and designing, it's answering those 3 questions as quickly as possible. So it's the speed of trust. Can I share a vulnerability? Is one of the quickest ways that I can do that. When I say, oh my God, I just had too many kids and not enough money at the end of the month, and I was going crazy. I'd lost my way, I'd lost my purpose, and I was back stuck in the everyday.
Mm-hmm.
So that, to me, that story is not about fruit and veggies in a capsule, and it's not yet about a business that saved me. It was what was hard that most people can resonate with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And that's the whole point of taking them on a journey, is communicating that, and definitely, you said it really well, sharing the stories. And that's why, that's why I said that first part of nailing down to a specific audience is so important, because you want to be telling stories consistently that is speaking to a certain audience, so that you can build that following. You can build it really easily. And then ideally, what I guess the point that I'm getting here is, you want to get them to a place where you're able to communicate directly with them. The best way, in my opinion, to do that is something like a newsletter. But the bonus too, though, is that Zoom has gotten so big in this culture that even doing like Zoom calls, these are the easiest things to do, and it's the easiest way to get people on. Whatever it may be, it doesn't matter what steps you take. You have to decide the steps that suit your skill set, your commitment level, the amount of time that you have, and what you want to do. I mean, my brain is always thinking, how do I go big? How do I connect with the most people and really try to hammer it home? But it's to whatever degree you want to come in at. And so possible steps in that journey of the customer could be, could be at the top level, could be obviously Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, but it could be live events. It could be steps like doing blogs. It could be going to trade shows. It could be going to sporting events. It could be going to, I don't know, maybe there's a knitting club. You could be finding whatever is going to suit you, suit your audience, suit your skill set. But most importantly is that, and this is the key point of this step, is you really have to define what those key steps are that the customer is going to go on. Because I can say for sure, trying to just post on social and turn those people into a customer is a big step. It's all, in my opinion, it's not impossible. It definitely, people do it all the time. And I know that some of you probably do that. I just think that is a difficult step where it's hard to have a lot of trust built and have really built that relationship in that short span. And I believe that there should be 1 or 2 more steps in there where you're getting the opportunity to continually communicate. Because at the end of the day, it's exactly like Linda was saying, that people have to really believe in you. They have to believe in your message. They have to feel your heart in the message. And the only way to do that is by being able to communicate with them regularly. So map out what steps make sense for you. Some other things, it could be through email, using something like an email, a newsletter software is actually incredibly easy, or find somebody that can do it for you. Either way, again, that's not a must, but it's really ideal. Could be video. You could do like Periscopes. You could do the meetings, Zoom calls, on and on and on. There's a lot of steps that you can do. Now, remember I was saying at the start, I'm going to come in with 3 fun golden tickets. I've got golden ticket number 2. So get your pen hand ready. This one is I think that this is a big deal in creating content online. You only want to be offering a product or trying to get your customer to do something about 10% of the time. And what I mean by that is, imagine, say you're posting on, say, Facebook, and you want to be looking at creating about 9 posts where you're delivering, you're giving, you're serving, you're inspiring, you're educating, and then maybe one post where you're mentioning your product, or you're trying to get them to go to whatever next step you want them to go to. And 10% is a really common number in the marketing industry of, people say, do not try to sell or promote or get them to do any action more than 10% of the time, because otherwise that's where it feels salesy. That's where it can, you know, that feeling of when somebody's more focused on what they're getting than what they're giving. And the whole thing here is nurturing your audience. That's what the whole thing is. So I really urge you, write that down, to keep it 10%. Again, you can find whatever recipe works for your audience. These are just what I found from experience, really make the difference.
Can I just say that is the best advice I've ever heard right there. What you just shared right then, because the truth is, you know, our outcome with regards to connecting with people is to add more value. You know, how do you make more money? You add more value. So if all you're doing is think about what are the things that you love to do to add value, you know, to your target market with regards to it, right? So think about really how can you add more value, and just write that number down of that 10%. I think that most of you will see your business transform when you just add value in that way. Best advice ever. Love it.
Definitely. And it can feel a little like, in the beginning, you can kind of be like, okay, where am I going to come up with all this content? It'll come. And I would say, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to write. Don't be afraid to share. I get so many followers on Twitter. Here, actually, I hadn't planned this in here. I'm going to give you a little money tip that I do to get followers all the time. I'll go on Twitter and I'll go to the people that I follow, like I said, like Tony Robbins, Richard Branson, Lewis Howes, Marie Forleo, God, the list goes on. And I'll go and I'll scan their Twitter feed, and I'll look for something that they've posted that has gotten a lot of interaction from their audience that I think is a really good message. And then I'll just reshare it. I'll just retweet it. And from that, I'll get likes and I'll get followers. And I didn't even create the content. I mean, Twitter is something where generally you're doing more posts than, say, like a Facebook, but don't be afraid to repurpose other content that is relevant, that is great for your audience, that is inspiring. People love the little inspirational one-liners. You don't have to come up with them. Share them. It's cool. So definitely 10%. Stay within that. So step number 4 is crafting your message. And in my opinion, the way I word it is, people don't buy what they want. They buy why they want it. They buy that identity. They buy what they feel the product will do for them. So I've got a little recipe. It took me a while to come up with this. We use this both in marketing and directly in our sales sequence. Like when we're doing training with sales reps, this is the main thing that they learn. And I call it why. Why. And just to give you an idea, my sales team now is able to close over 70% of leads that come in from online. And it's because of this recipe. This is the closer recipe. All right. So why? So 3 questions to creating a message, a post, a tweet, a Facebook post, a blog article, a video, absolutely any bit of content that you're creating. I think this recipe nails it down. So question number 1 is, what is the step, right? So what is the customer's next action? Maybe it's purchasing, or maybe it's, hey, come and follow me on Facebook. That's the step. Or sign up for my newsletter, or come on my Zoom call, or whatever it may be. What is the step that they're going to do? Question number 2, what will that do for them? Okay, what are they going to get from that? So imagine, let's keep it simple. Let's say it's buying Juice Plus, right? Again, we need a specific audience. So let's say it's entrepreneurs. So what will that do for them? Maybe for me, Juice Plus is not about long-term health. For me, actually, it's about being able to come in the door and be the guy that I need to be every single day, to inspire a team, to make decisions, to hustle, to get results. Like, that's what drives me, and that's why I love Juice Plus. God, I was popping Juice Plus caps and chewing gummies before I came on the call tonight, because I find it's the thing for me that I feel it and I love it. So what will that do for them is question number 2. Question number 3, and this is where all the money is. This is the one that is always missed. It's why is that important for them? Why does that matter to them? So imagine the mom, right? What is the step? Maybe it's Juice Plus for the kids. What will that do for them? Getting her kids to eat more veggies, for example. Why is that important? Because it can be tough because we're busy and we're on the run and we're doing so much. See, it's the why part that's going to give you the content to be able to create your post. And this is the step that's missed all the time. And once I really figured this out and understood it, I started looking at marketing by, it didn't matter the size of the company everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, you're missing the message. You're missing it all the time. I'm going to give you an example. So the first time that I was actually introduced to Juice Plus was probably, I think it was about 2 years ago. And I was invited to a women's business networking group. I was speaking there about marketing, and I was in mingling with the crowd and whatever. And there was this woman, and I'm just going to call her by the initial J. And so Jay came up and was talking with me, and we got talking about health. And I was sharing with her how, you know, my diet, which is pretty disciplined, and, you know, I'm close to vegan and blah, 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 and sharing all this stuff. And she's like, oh yeah, me too. And she's like, have you ever heard of Juice Plus? And I'm like, no, I don't know it. And she's like, oh my God, you would love it. And so she goes into this huge pitch about how great it is and gives me a bunch of information about it. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's great. And she just keeps going on and on and on and on with this spiel. And I'm like, okay. And it started to get old. And then, you know, whatever, after that, she was emailing me and she was calling me and she was trying to get me to be her next big distributor. And she missed the one key question that would have closed me on the spot, which is, why is health so important to me? It's this series right here. What is the step? Trying to get me to take Juice Plus. What will that do for me? You know, make me feel maybe more healthy or whatever maybe she was thinking. Why is that important? So I can be the guy I want to be when I come in here every day. Like, that's the step that she didn't take the time to figure out about me for 2 reasons. 1, she didn't know the closer recipe, but 2, I wasn't her ideal customer, right? So she had a hard time speaking my language and getting me inspired to want to sign up with her. And, you know, it wasn't until later, and Lauren came to Canada and invited me to an event to come and hang out with her for the day. And then, you know, I hung out around a bunch of Juice Plus peeps, and I've been hooked ever since. But this little why, I urge you to really wrap your head around that and ask those questions. And it works. You go through it with every audience, right? So you look at retired people, for example. You know, what is the step? Taking Juice Plus. What will that do for them? Well, maybe it's they're getting older and they want to make sure that they're saving their edge, or maybe it's because they're, you know, hitting a golf course and they want to stay flexible. And why is that important? Because they got other people that they're around. They're trying to keep fit for their wife, for the grandkids, whatever it may be. And that why message, that's what you talk about. You talk about that why in your, and I know this is stuff that comes up often in calls. This little recipe though, I think is a great way to nail it down. You talk about that why, like I said, in your social, on your website, in your newsletters, in whatever. You always have the common theme of that, because what's going to happen is you want your audience going like this. Your audience should just always be nodding their head like, yes, you're speaking to me. Yes, I get it. Yes, I want more. Yes, sign me up. Yeah, I'm going to buy. And that's the, like, I think it's just such a money recipe. So I hope that makes sense. So step 5, this is the last one. It's simple and it's obvious, but schedule it. Just schedule it, make it real, do it, because consistency with social media is everything. So you have to decide, how often are you going to post? Is it going to be every day? Is it going to be once a week? Is it going to be Mondays and Thursdays? Is it, you know, are you going to post on Facebook on Mondays and then on your website on Wednesdays, or you're going to do a call on Tuesday? It doesn't matter how much or how little. It could be, well, it can't really be once a month, but ideally at minimum once a week. Every day is great. It's up to you, but plan your calendar and stick with whatever you commit to. that's the biggest thing that gets results, is that just consistency over time, consistently focusing on writing the message and moving people through the steps, making sure that you're just sticking with it. The more you work on it, the faster results you will get. Obviously, we know, as Eric Worre always says, success loves speed. Couldn't agree more. But I also think that the consistency is a big thing. And so often we'll go out and we get excited about something, we feel good about it. And, you know, some of you tonight maybe will get excited and then go, and you kind of have that little peak where you're super motivated, and then over time, and it's hard to sustain. In the beginning, it's hard to see those results right away. But I promise you, if you stay dedicated, you stay committed, and you stay focused on it, over time, you will see how this really starts to hit home and how you really start to get results. So that's a simple little step, and it's an obvious one, but it's I don't know, maybe it's the most important. Then again, I think every single one is they're all super important. So I'm just going to recap the steps here. I hope that you got it, but let me hold it up close and just make sure that you guys got this down. So remember, defining your audience, your ideal audience, taking the time, looking into it, brainstorming, talking to friends, figuring out who exactly can you talk to online. And then, where are they? Find out where they are, do the research, take a look around, talk to people in the know, look at other people that are speaking to your audience. Number 3 is planning the specific steps that they're going to take. Step 1, social media. Step 2, maybe it's a website. Step 3, maybe it's a newsletter. Step 4, maybe it's a call to action to get on the phone. And then ideally, step 5, they're buying your stuff. Number 4, crafting your message. What, why? What is the step? What are they going to do? What is that going to get for them, and why is that important? And write about the why. That's the most important thing. Write about the why. And then lastly, plan it and do it. When are you going to do your posts? When are you going to do your stuff? When are you going to do your emails? When are you going to do your video? When are you doing it all? As much or as little, just get it in your calendar and make it a must. So what I really urge you to do is to tonight, don't wait on this, because we all know what happens when we wait. We've got all the good intention. Okay, I'm going to get to it in the morning. I'll get to it tomorrow. I'm going to really, it's kind of late. I want to take time to sit. No, tonight, sit down and plan out what is your next step. I would actually do 2 things. I'd urge you to do 2 things. Number 1, set a goal. Set a goal of what you want to achieve from this, and think big. I love the banner that's on the YOLO page right now. Whatever you're thinking, think bigger. It couldn't be more true. So set your goal. But number 2 is figure out what your next step is tonight. Do you need to go and do a little bit of research on your ideal customer? Do you know who your ideal customer is? And maybe you need to go and do the research on where they are. Maybe you've got all that pegged and you need to sit and map out what that customer journey actually looks like. Or maybe you want to craft out your message. Whatever it is, plan tonight what your next step is and when you're going to do it, and make it a must, and make it happen. Get it going, because I cannot stress enough how wildly successful you can become using this recipe in a really, really, really short time. Again, I mentioned my girlfriend before. She was really struggling in the coaching world, trying to get some clients, and she was able to basically using this recipe. She crafted it herself through Facebook and Instagram. She's got like 500 people on her Facebook, which is all right, but it's really not that many in the grand scheme. And she was able to get a bunch of people come out to her first event. She did a first live event just from that little audience on her Facebook. She got a live event, and she pulled 5 coaching clients out of that event that she went to. I mean, that's crazy results for somebody in that industry, because consistently what I see is people in the coaching industry have a super hard time finding and pulling in clients, again, not following this exact recipe. And that's, I think this could be huge for you guys. So that's the whole thing. I did want to do a couple fun things after. So here's what I came up with for you guys. I'm willing to offer 2 1-hour strategy sessions with anybody from the call So one each for 1 hour. Basically, we can go over whatever you want. I'll give you an hour of my time, and I definitely don't usually do that. So if you want to get the jump start on this, if you want to come out of the gate and you want to talk about it, if you want to spend a bit of time, and then once you get going and you get stuck, we can connect at that point. Whatever works for you, we'll figure it out. And the second thing is that I'm also considering, if enough people are interested, I'll do a kind of like an advanced small group training course. We'll do a little online course, a step-by-step process. We'll go through this whole thing a lot deeper. We'll do some weekly calls and we'll break it down. And here's how you get into it. So you're gonna go to my website, and it's chriscrawford.ca/YOLO. You're not gonna see the link on there because nobody else is gonna see this. All right, so there's the site, chriscrawford.ca/YOLO. I just threw it up super quick today. Just put your name and your email in, and I'm gonna pick two people to do the call with, and then I'll communicate with everybody else. If we get enough people in there, enough people interested, we'll do a little course. If you guys are into it, we'll figure it out. And otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at Chris J. Crawford. And I don't know how much time you usually would want to stay on here, but I'm game to take on a few questions.
Let's take a couple questions, or let's just have everybody share also what they got from the call. It's been very valuable. So let's open up. If you guys can unmute yourself. Thank you so much. I love the nuggets. Maybe if you could recap those just to post on the YOLO page, Chris. I know that you're extremely busy. I know we were also talking about if anybody wanted to do like a banner. I know that of like a lot of people have their personal transformations, that you were going to do a template of for, you know, those what do you call them? Quick screens. Quick screens that you would create something, and so maybe you could just post something on there for people to have as well when they go to events. So takeaways, what did you guys get, or any questions you might have for Chris? Anyone want to share? Anyone want to share other than, yep. Yes.
I would take away the fact about the 10% of what you're sharing. So just making the product 10% of your posts, so you can use your FOMO and your inspiration and quotes and serving other people before selling. And that was a nice figure. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Great, Rebecca. Awesome. Anybody else want to share? That was a big one for me too. Anyone else?
Yeah, that the what, why is phenomenal. That is absolutely amazing, and a formula to actually create your post. And that's the first time I've ever heard that. So Chris, thank you so much for sharing that. It kind of clicked in there. Awesome. Anyone else?
I love the nurture your audience. That was awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
I like the sniper rather than the shotgun approach. I like really focusing in on finding that target audience.
I can't stress enough how much this stuff pays off. I promise you guys, if you really focus on that and dial it in, your results are going to be crazy. And when I first got into this, Lauren talked about Katie Ravi, and the whole skinny rules thing. And I looked into it, and this is the recipe she's using. Like this recipe, I knew it as soon as I logged in. I was like, oh, I know exactly what because this is what people in the marketing world that are creating huge success online. It's this recipe or very close.
Anyone have any questions for Chris? We'll take one more question, and then we'll.
It was really a great, informative chat today. And if I can say, and I'm sure you can attest to this, Chris, is that ultimately, whatever platform you're on, you always have to be ready to serve, because we are on the online world, and you are not sometimes you're not taking it from Facebook to Facebook, as our president says, and you have to always be ready to serve and create a virtual experience for people. That's been my experience, but I did take a lot from what you shared. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. That's great.
Anyone else? Two more?
I liked your commit to what you commit to and do it.
Anyone else? Anyone have a question?
I liked everything. Thank you.
Can you repeat the link one more time, please?
Oh,
Yeah, I just popped it in the chat. It's chriscrawford.ca/YOLO. And if you think about it, I'm right here. I'm doing the exact recipe that I just shared with you guys, right? So this was an intro to come and speak with y'all. And then what I'm trying to do is now move by serving you legit, by trying to help, because that's what I really want to do at the root of it. But I'm moving however many people want to come and opt into
Hold on
my website.
Hi, Honey June. How are you, my love?
Somebody's on the, okay. Well, I know everybody really enjoyed this, Chris, and it's awesome. I really appreciate you I know you put a lot into preparing for this call, so that means a lot as well to all of us. And I know that everybody's going to want to hear this again. Everybody's asking for it to be posted as quickly as possible. If you could do the highlights on there, that would be great as well. And I look forward to seeing you as a national marketing director too, and growing it. So anyway.
This was really my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on. It was super fun, and I was glad to have the chance to come on and share this.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. And Olivia will post this on our page, and make sure you get in touch with Chris so that you can win that session with him. Okay,
Thank you.
Bye.
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 One more thing. Tomorrow, if you're a sales coordinator, tomorrow's the sales coordinator call with Jeff and Cheryl. So if you want to be on that call, if you're a sales coordinator, of what to do to move on to senior sales coordinator. So I'll be posting the details as well. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
I was sweating so much I was dancing the whole time.